Hello, everybody. Make sure everything's all right. And I'm going to check for the sound. Hopefully, no problem with the sound today. So this is going to be okay here. I'm going to do that here. Looks okay here. I think we can start. So, hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is the Saturday edition of our live show. And hopefully, we're going to have a good time with radio. So, this is a show that happens twice a week. We are here on Wednesday evening, North America. That is Thursday for the rest of the world at 0 hours UTC. And on Saturday at 20 hours UTC, we talk about radio, shortwave radio. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We're here to entertain, have fun, listen to the radio, answer questions, and just, enjoy with everybody what is, in general, a very solitary hobby. But here we gather together and doing so with a bunch of other people, so we don't feel alone like in our little man cave doing this. We are actually a bunch of great people that just enjoy the same thing, radio. And of course we will have a few little things. There are a couple of questions about solar activity propagation and stuff like that I've got in the email, so we're going to check that out. And talking of email, we're going to look at the email. We have Elizabeth saying hello. She says she's not been here for a couple of weeks because she was in the hospital. Nothing serious, but now she's back home enjoying radio and will be listening to the show tonight. And she powered on her Kenwood R5000 receiver, and she's ready to tune the bands and to learn more about radio. Thank you for all that you do. So, hope you feel better, Elizabeth. Nice to have you here. She's in Saskatchewan, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. And that's the only check-in we have for through email. Anyways, great little place to be, and it is, of course, a fun to be here every time. Last Wednesday's show, lots of people talking about it. If you've missed it, you have to at least check the last half hour, something like that. I ended up calling a phone number on a NAFTEX bulletin from Iqaluit, Nunavut, Canada. And just so funny because what happened is I ended up talking to someone from the Canadian Coast Guard, Sarah, that actually she was really sweet and really, really nice. So pretty cool to have all of you here. And it was pretty cool to have her on the phone and learn a little more about the Coast Guard. And now we know that that number has somebody there 24 hours a day. And she actually commented on the live show, which was really nice. And she said it was she was happy to. We made her night. She said we made her night shift. It was just great, and she really had a lot of fun. So kind of cool. And maybe what's nice with this, and that's the other thing I was thinking about is how maybe she kind of didn't really know that there were some radio hobbyists that that listen to those NAVTEX signals and decode them, and when all the Coast Guard bulletins and stuff, and it was kind of cool, and definitely cool. And it was just great to have on the phone. I was so surprised. I have to say I was so surprised at the that somebody answered. I was expecting some kind of answering machine or something. So it looks like they're there for emergencies, and if something happens, well, there's already somebody on the other end to be there. So now we, of course, have a chat room. If you want to join in, you can be with among friends. If you have a Gmail account, you can join in and talk. I did put the slow mode, but for 15 seconds only, which isn't too bad. And I don't know, it didn't seem to affect this is curious, the famous bots. It didn't seem to affect the uh, the the bots. It seems like they really like came through many in a row, even if it's 15 seconds. I don't know. So, anyways, yeah, I think Erica Trail just maybe clicked by accident. That's pretty much what I think about that message. No problem. It's probably a accidental click. So basically, nice to be here and nice to have all of you here. There's a Facebook group also that you can join in, and that's official SWL channel on the Facebook group. We have a lot of people posting there, and we can follow what you guys are listening to, the new radios, and so on. Really a lot of fun, and it's a really cool bunch of people that are helpful and just want to enjoy the hobby. So cool to be here as usual on this Saturday. Radios, I've got my Texan PL990X connected and also connected to the console if I need to drive audio. And I've got on the laptop here the Hairspy HF Plus Discovery. So this is pretty cool to be here and to tune the bands and check out what's out there. One thing that I will do here is also check for pirates and a few other things. So we'll have HF Underground running here for pirate activity in case there's something to listen to. And I'm going to try something here because it's been posted a long time ago, but who knows? Anybody there right now? Nope, nobody on 9500. Chill radio or pirate radio has been there a lot. It's been there quite a lot. So it's kind of just to check out if everything's all right. CHU still missing on most of its frequencies, by the way. Let's check Prion. Maybe we'll have some Russian number stations. Yeah, we do have a couple of Russian number stations coming up in an hour, so we'll be checking that out. I'll bring up EIBI space if we need to check what signal, what is on what frequency will be there already. So this is cool. So here we go. So last show of the month of May. It's pretty crazy when you think about it that we are going to be June 1st on Wednesday for the first show of the month of June. One thing I want to announce in advance, I'll remind everybody next week also. So next week we have the regular shows, but on the week after, the Wednesday/Thursday show, which is June the 8th, I will not be here because I have a concert to attend. So I will not have a show on that evening because of that. So exceptionally on June 8th, just make sure that you don't show up waiting for a show because it won't be on. That night. So okay, we'll be of course back with the regular schedule after that. Somebody was asking me also if this summer I'm going to take some time off. I usually do. So they're probably, I would say that anywhere from about July 15th to maybe August 15th for about a month. I'll take a month off of the live shows to kind of recharge the batteries. It doesn't show, but talking for 2 to 3 hours twice a week takes a lot of energy. So from time to time, it's kind of cool to take a little vacation off. So probably take a little month off for that period of time. But I will be posting. I will be posting the I will be posting some videos and going to the park and stuff like that. So kind of cool to be here as usual. So yeah, no problem, Eric. I know it's by accident. Unfortunately, there's no option to I don't have any options to undo. So all I can do is click to see what's the message. Anyways, nice to be here, and of course, we'll hopefully have fun with radio today. Chat room, Matt, MDK2, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. No problem at all. See you Wednesday. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Jay Watterson, 69. Nice to have you here. Robert Cross, nice to have you on board. Luigi, nice to have you on board. Bonsoir. J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Nice to have you here. Brad in Texas, N5LUL. Nice to have you here. Richard Wagner, nice to have you on board. Randall Clowns, nice to have you here from Northeast Illinois. We have René Charbonnier of Radio Classic Sunday. PD3RKD, nice to have you here. It was nice to see that picture of you with your handheld and doing some ham radio. It's kind of cool to see that picture. I'm going to hopefully have quite a few pictures of things like that also. I forget to bring it along, but when I go out to do stuff, I'm gonna bring my little 2 meter 70 centimeter talkie also. We're gonna be if I ever have to do or want to do some ham radio a little bit and try a few things, I think it's gonna be fun. And what else do we have? VA3JPX, James, nice to have you here from Ottawa. We have Nick Sharp talking about the CQ Worldwide WPX contest CW portion. That, of course, means the bands on CW are full of signals. Kamikaze 76, nice to have you here from West Michigan. What else do we have? Let's go down. John Beckham, nice to have you here from Northeast Florida. DJW883, nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania. Pete N1VAK, nice to have you here from Greenville, North Carolina. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you here from Winslow, Missouri. On a steamy, warm Sunday afternoon. Today's just perfect. It's about 70. Just a perfect weather. And I've been having a lot of fun checking out my weather station. And we got 26 millimeters of rain in the last 24 hours. Just having fun with that weather station. It's really cool. And love the added bonus of the lightning detection and all of that. Serge, nice to have you here from chilly and windy Switzerland. Nice to have you here, my friend. Darren Rogers, nice to have you here. Art Dodd, nice to have you here. KD280C, New Jersey. RTL SDR videos, a lot of help. Thank you. Well, they're there for that. Try to help out. I have it right here. Not very far, if I'm not mistaken. I really need to plug this back and have fun with it. I haven't used my RTL SDR V3 in a little while. I need to plug it in and have more videos, really to have fun with it. I was thinking maybe of so I've got the SDR Play RSPDX on my Windows 11 mini PC, and I've got a Windows 10 mini PC that doesn't have anything SDR on it. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I could arrange that PC to run the RTL SDR V3, and I'd be able to run 3 SDRs, and that'd be nice. And of course, continue making videos. But they're there for that, because I know that, SDRs are fun, but there's a learning curve, and depending on the SDR, the learning curve is steeper on some than others. So I'm happy to do that for sure. Michael, nice to have you on board. TVDXer, bonjour, ça va? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Chuck, nice to have you here from sunny South Texas and 5KVO. Ours is Out of Crafter's Kitchen, nice to have you on board. Said I missed the last live show. I heard it was great. Yeah, well, the ending, particularly the ending when I decided to call that number on the Navtex, it was kind of really funny. Eric Cottrell, nice to have you on board. Thunderstorms and heavy rain in Boston. I had a trip out to Hamvention. Yeah, I know that Hamvention is really amazing, and I hope to attend at some point. I know it's. I was looking at the live streams. I saw a lot of the live streams where I was looking at them from time to time, to just in case I would spot any of you guys that I know there. So, but yep, I know that sounds like a great place to attend. John Beckham, nice to have you here. Yeah, happy Memorial Day to all of you guys in the US. Definitely. It's a long weekend for you guys. Carl Icon, nice to have you on board from New York. And he's tuning the web SDRs and noticed that very low frequency of 40.75 kilohertz from Aguada, Puerto Rico is active. Cool. Glenn, nice to have you here. KB9IN from Milwaukee. Pete as Grundig and coffee today. That's perfect mix. Perfect mix. John Beckham, are you familiar with the Kato KS29 AM FM shortwave portable? Let me check it out here. I'm going to go and sometimes they have a different Kato. Oops, what did I just do? Let's go here. I hate this keyboard. KS29. Let me check that out. Kato KS29. Radio. Oh yeah. The yeah, okay. I've seen that before. I'm not much familiar with it, but a lot of those are kind of nice. K29. I'm not much familiar with it, but with MP3 player and all, yeah, looks interesting. Got it here, $50. Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't know what's the performance of this thing. I should check it out. Let me check if Amazon.ca. Is it available on Amazon? Kato K29. I don't see it on Amazon Canada. Because if it would have been at a reasonable price, it could have been interesting to test it out. Can't believe that the Skywave CC radio, the CC Skywave SSB, is 279 Canadian dollars. That is crazy. That is crazy. I would not pay that price for that radio. So yeah, I don't know. I've seen it a few times, but I can't really. There's no. I don't have any opinion on it for that radio, the K29, the MP3 player recorder. Laura Robertson, I say have you on board. I3/KO4DFJ. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Zenfaro, nice to have you on board, along with that CHU, but with FRG7, HF for Discovery. And soon to have a burger and fries. Cool. VT Radio, Paul, nice to have you here. AA1SU from Northern Vermont. Charging my HD batteries for a marathon tomorrow. You can monitor it on 145, 150 and Bolton Mountain. Wonder if that makes it here in Montreal. Curious. You know, I might, if I hear it, you know what I will try to do? Go out in the park with my HT. Because when we tried with the 146685 repeater, I was pretty much in the house. But from an open field, like in a park, I might actually make it much better. One thing I want to do also this summer is go on top of Mont Royal with my HT and try to see which repeaters I can actually connect to, how far I can go on top of the Mont Royal mountain. That could be a lot of fun. What else do we have? Glenn Zekman, nice to have you here from Tennessee. Concert is June 8th, Wednesday, June 8th. Greg, nice to have you on board. Watch YouTube 12-volt vids Thursday. This 12-volt vids cool Sony ICF 2010 PLL synthesizer receiver. Yep. Yeah, I've seen quite a few of his videos too. Nice to have you here, Greg. Oscar the Cat, 19 years old. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Paul the Cat is, since I don't know when he was born, I can only kind of guess. So I'd say Paul the Cat is roughly 10 years old. It's going to be 7 years since Paul the Cat showed up for the first time here in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks from now, 7 years. And I would guess he was probably at least 2 to 3 years of age already. And maybe more, because you know what? Now, I'm trying to see how I can get him to lose weight, but I've kind of noticed that he seems to have, you know, when a cat gets older, when you look at his face and his fur, there's kind of it's a little bit like us, you know. I mean, we get white hair and all of that, but in grayish hair, but there's something about older cats that when you look at them, you see that they are getting old. And I sometimes wonder if he might even be maybe older than I think from time to time. Angpar, nice to have you here from Los Angeles. Doogie, nice to have you here from Brisbane, Australia. Nice to have you on board on Sunday morning, 6 a.m. No problem, Angpar. PhilTube, nice to have you here. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you on board here, Javan, Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. I'm going with Sheldon Harvey. We're going to go and watch Kraftwerk's 3D downtown Montreal. So it's going to be kind of an interesting virtual interactive kind of thing. Kerry James, nice to have you on board from Tennessee. W4KEJ. Mike Kaiser, nice to have you here. Can you recommend a well-made, durable, portable shortwave radio? Like, take a licking, keeps on ticking. You know, most of the Texan portables are pretty rugged. I've got a few that I dropped, and that I dropped a couple of times, and I gotta say, But if you're looking for something portable, the example I would give you here is this. If you, where is it? So I've got the Texan version here, but there's a Connicom version somewhere. Let me just check it out, guys, for a second. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, there it is. There's the one I'm looking at. If you want something rugged, and there's two things that you can do. If you're afraid of dropping, banging, whatever, one of the things that's nice, CountyCom sells the GP7 SSB. This is AM, FM, long wave, shortwave, portable with SSB. Works great. Has a keypad. You can actually calibrate the frequency on it too. But what's cool with this is that they have these really rugged, either metal casing. So this one is actually in one of those metal casings. That puts this radio in a very rugged package. They also sell these silicone covers that also will make your radio safer to use if you think you're going to drop it or something. So the radio itself is already pretty good, but with the added bonus of these casings, you might actually have a very rugged experience with this radio. But you know what? I have dropped my latest to have been dropped. The Texan PL990X fell off this table about 3 feet to the floor, a wood floor. Still works great. And it happened on many of those. They are pretty rugged in general. Of course, you gotta take it easy. You know, you got to be careful in general. But if you're looking for something, it could be that. It could be like I just showed you, the CountyCom GP7 SSB with a casing, or just get one of those Texan receivers. A lot of them seem to be pretty rugged in general, but don't play with fire. That's for sure. Don't play with fire. VT radio started raining lightly during the SX Junction Memorial Day Parade. It got worse and worse as we marched on. I didn't know a body could get so wet. I remember one time I am coming back. Actually, I would go to the karaoke bar that night. I am coming back from the karaoke bar, and it's like 3 a.m. And this storm, it's summer. It's like late July, but it's very warm outside. And this rainstorm starts as I'm walking home. And I mean, I live 15 minutes walk from there. And that 15 minutes walk in one of the heaviest rains I've ever seen. I totally understand what you mean, that you have no idea how, I think I was wetter than even when I take a shower. It's totally crazy. But of course, it's worse because you're wearing your clothes and of course your shoes filled with water, which is always kind of a very, that is probably for me one of the worst experiences, when your shoes get wet, squishy. That is the most, that's what I hate the most in getting wet. Frank, nice to have you on board from Amsterdam. Pretty cool to have you here from the Netherlands. Jeff Williams from Southwest Cornwall. Yeah, I've seen Greg, the 12 volts vids and this Sony ICF 2010. Nice radio. Michael says, we're getting thunderstorms northern New Jersey. I'm in my backyard about 200 feet from the house. S. Fred, nice to have you on board from his deck in Toronto. Got the PL330, and that's cool. Alan, nice to have you here. J Projects, nice to have you here. Yes, Fred says that's outrageous for the Skywave. Oh yeah, 270 bucks for the Skywave CC radio SSB. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. We have Joseph from the San Francisco Bay Area. Nice to have you here. Radio Yankee, nice to have you on board. K2YK from Jamestown, New York. Big Echolink enthusiast. Need to check that out. I did have one Echolink contact. Need to check more of it, maybe. Joe Gomez from San Diego, California. Mank Legend, N0 TTI. Nice to have you here. Johnny Sorrentino, nice to have you on board from New York City. Grandpa Piper Mike from Sweden using an RTL SDR, RSP1A, RSP Duo, Zigu G90, IC 7100, 7200, and two 7300. That is a radio geek. That's all I can say. Nice to have you here. John Jensen as well. Nice to have you here from Woodstock, Illinois. Activity X, do you have closed captioning enabled on your hand? I'm out and can't turn up the volume. I'm not sure actually. I think it is, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe not, because I got a warning about something for that. So I'm not sure. I would have to look at the details. Man, I got this really itchy nose. Alan, I've been blowing the dust off the Kenwood TS430. Listening on the bands, the receiver is amazing for an old radio. Oh yeah, these old receivers are good when they're in good shape. I mean, they do a great job. Jet Crafter, good afternoon. Nice to have you on board. Skip N2EI, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Bruce Corbett, 9N9BH, nice to have you here. Gabriel, nice to have you here from Uruguay. CX32SWL. We have... So Gabriel says he dropped several times his Texan PL368. It's quite sturdy. Indeed. Actually, I got DPL368 here, which is the same radio, by the way. The Countycom GP7 SSB and the Texan PL368 are the same radio. So they are nice receivers. Andy New, nice to have you on board, my friend. Dimitri, 20-meter band, very active. 14300 on the ham band is good reception with signals. Yeah, fishies. I thought it would make it different to have fishies. As we get into summer, how about fishies rather than fire? Jim from Rhode Island, nice to have you here. Mike Jam, nice to have you on board. And David, Barcelona, Spain. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? EA3IEK, EA499HURE. And we have Angpar. So that was the Countycom GP7 SSB, which is the same radio as the Texan PL368, except that the Countycom version has a sturdier antenna, so it doesn't bend. It's much more sturdy. It doesn't bend like the much cheaper Texan antenna. So the GP7, the Countycom GP7's antenna is much better, but they are the same. They're the same radio at the basics. And now they are, in my case here, they are in metal cases that Countycom actually gave me, which was very nice and very sturdy cases for the radios. So it's, long wave, medium wave, AM, FM, shortwave, full coverage, and with keypad, SSB, great little portables. The TM scan is fun to use on these radios also. Jason, VE9JMC, Peekaboo Waves. Oliver Richards, nice to have you here. V44KAO, nice to have you on board. Yeah, it's disabled. Yeah, it's probably disabled. Thinking about it, I think it's disabled. Ron C, nice to have you on board. There's this MLA30, big difference. Cool. In a noisy environment, it's amazing. You know, we got to put it for what it is. And it's always what I tell everybody. Don't forget one thing. If it's quiet where you are and you put 100 feet of wire outdoors, yes, that 100 feet is going to blow away the MLA30. It's really in the case where you have a lot of noise, then the MLA30 will beat it because it will have a better signal to noise ratio. Skip, if you drop a Collins R390, it goes through the floor. Yeah, that's a different thing. Did you break the radio? No, but I broke my house. Jim, do you have any opinion on the performance of the ICOM 7300 transceiver as a shortwave radio? Not having tested it myself, the only opinion I have on that is from people who have the transceiver and seem to find that it's a pretty good pretty good performance for shortwave. You know, the only thing that I would say about ham transceivers, and it's probably less and less true today because, you know, for a long time, and I don't know why, ham transceivers came in, they only tuned the ham bands. They would not tune anything else. And maybe it's because of, you know, not being able to block them for some reason of transmit on other bands. But now today, most ham transceivers, pretty much all of them, are general coverage receivers. They have the full shortwave range. And the only thing that is sometimes a little bad about the about some transceivers, and it depends on the transceivers you have, is that the filters sometimes on some models are made for ham radio. So that means they're good for SSB and CW because they're meant for ham radio contacts, but they might not be wide enough for AM international broadcasts, for example. But today's receiver, like the 7300, they're pretty much SDRs within, you know, in the box. So it's not a problem anymore for most of them. The bandwidths are okay. You know, I have my Yisu FT450 here, and it's great as a ham radio transceiver, but the audio for international broadcasts, although not bad, lacks a little bit of you know, being able to go a little larger in the filter to have better audio because it's a little muffled. And I've put all of it as wide as possible. It's still not bad. It's not bad, but it's definitely you know, it could have a better offering in there. But you know, most radios are pretty good. Most transceivers today are pretty good as shortwave receivers at the same time. I mean, the ham radio transceivers all have, in general, pretty good reception. So, cool, David. Nice to know that you are well. Dave Conte from the Bronx. Nice to have you here. Tenumis. Nice to have you here. Zen Faros, WWV missing from 25, present on 20, 15, weaker on 10, and missing on 5. Slightly north of New York City. Yeah, 5 is a little early. 5 and 2.5, it's too, you know, we're daytime path from there to here. 25 is more of a 25 is more of a winter thing. You'll notice if you listen that you hear it very often in the winter with high solar activity. It's almost a daily occurrence. In the summertime, it's a tougher one. Usually more with sporadic E-skip, and it has to do with the changing patterns of the propagation depending on the season. Francis Moore, nice to have you on board. Ransier is using his MLA30 indoors, basement apartment in front window. And I mean, if it works well and it gets you some signals, at least that's the fun part of it. It's difficult in any apartment. I'm lucky to be at the top part of the apartment building here. So it's kind of easier for me for, setting up something. And I got 2 balconies in the front and the back. And I've got the luxury of, I can put up pretty much any antenna I want here. So I have that luxury also. But apartment dwelling is difficult for radio. Often you're very limited in what you can actually do. Francis Moore from Birmingham, UK. Michael is listening to Radio Romania 13650. Let's check out 13650 here. 13650. And let's check out. I'm going to turn the volume up on the. I need to change the consoles to have it in a different spot. It's a little noisy. So it's Radio Romania. It's a little noisy here in Montreal today. Usually stronger than that. Tech Guy, selling choice is ICR 8500. Great radio. I want to set it up one day to listen to some satellites, some amateur satellites. I want to have a little bit of fun. I haven't listened to amateur radio satellites in a while. Richard Califano, nice to have you on board from Albany, New York. WA2157SWL. Wally, okay. Which is the best SDR radio? Depends how much you want to spend, but the best, I always say the best entry level is the SDR Play RSP1A. It is easy to set up. It works out of the box. You install SDR Uno software, and it works, and it gives good performance also. If you don't mind fiddling, because it's a little more tricky to install and have it working, the RTL SDR V3, I had to say, is surprising for the price. But there's a big drawback. You have to buy it from the RTL SDR website. Don't buy it on Amazon or on eBay. Half of them, if not 75% of them, are fake. And so they don't receive shortwave. And of course, there's a lot of much more expensive SDRs. But entry level, the SDR Play RSP1A is a winner. I think anybody that wants an SDR for the first time, doesn't want to fiddle too much with the install of it, it is really the best entry level, I'll say, and you'll have great performance. Chuck Yunkin, yep, CHU is off the air. I don't know how long it's going to take before they repair the damage. There's a big rant, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow on the International Radio Report, by the way, for those that have never been to the or don't know about our show. Me and Sheldon Harvey have a show which is the International Radio Report. And that show is about, it's an half-hour show that we have every week about what's happening in the world of radio, basically locally and internationally. And it is a 30-minute show that airs on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal at 14:30 UTC. But we also have our show available through our YouTube channel now. So if you guys want to take a look and listen, we have one show every week. The show is posted on the channel. The show is posted on the channel every about an hour after it airs on the on CKUT radio. You can stream it live from CKUT website, ckut.ca. And we're going to talk about one thing, our big rant that's going on about the CFRA 580 kilohertz. So when the storms hit last week, there was no more power for a lot of people. And then I mean, the storms that hit last week were major. We still have actually here in the province of Quebec a 18, I think they said there was still 18,000 people without power. It was crazy. I mean, there was still a lot of people without power 2 days after, and 3 days after the storms. So everything went blank, dark. No more internet. No more TV. No nothing except I got portable radio with batteries, and there started to be a huge rant at CFRA 580 that was on a automated program, and that they did not switch to any programming, special programming, because of the storms. Everybody was in the dark, basically. They didn't have any special programs, and a lot of people started saying, you know what? A license renewal should be linked to the fact that if there's an emergency, a radio station, and I do think that should be the case, a radio station should have the capability of getting on the air as fast as possible for live radio when emergency happens. And there's no excuse for that. And I think it should be a requirement for a license for any radio stations. So it it drove a lot of people crazy. And I mean, in today's markets, everywhere, radio stations are not ready for any live programming anymore. Here in Montreal, if something bad would happen, I'd be curious who would have the capability at midnight to get on and talk about what's happening. I don't think there's a lot of them. Jetcrafter, hearing 11175, the Global Air Command frequency EM messages. My jam drive is text and radio. The tuning knob was hard to turn after. Took me 2 weeks to realize I just needed to pull the knob away from radio housing a touch. Yeah, it probably got if it fell on the tuning knob, it probably shoved it a little too far in, so it was having some friction with the casing. Alan, VR 5000 while listening in bed, pretty cool. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Richard Califano, Radio Romania, down and clear in Albany. BT Radio 13650. It's incredible how just a couple of hundred miles difference south makes a difference in how well we hear a station. Tenamus, it's not hard to ID the Amazon knockoffs, though. Yeah, but you just got to realize when we talk about this that even if you can spot them, you can spot them. You can't ask that from anybody buying anything. You cannot tell them, oh, this is how you recognize the good or the bad. You just tell them to go to the website where you need to buy it, and that's it. It's really the only way to do it. Hamed, which one is a better choice nowadays? Both are great. The Texan PL660 analog PLL has one major advantage, is that it actually does not mute when you tune, which is great. And it has the airband. Texan PL330 is amazing, but if you are going to tune with the tuning knob, you're going to have some muting when you tune, and it's very annoying. But apart from that, if that tuning when you mute isn't a problem, the Texan PL330 is kind of a better choice, I would say. But PL660 is good for that. It doesn't have the muting when you tune around because it's basically a good old analog PLL receiver with digital display. Blog or Die, nice to have you here. PL330 ETM Plus is definitely really, really nice, and it's definitely great for travel on the PL330, for sure, for the size. Greg, what happens with your Ethon Elite Executive? Dimitri, I use a lot of the web SDR receiver on the computer, and I like to explore the mystery signals on the waterfalls. Michael is using Radio Shack St. Jean with whip antenna in the backyard. To name it, anyone picking up? Yeah, 16180. Yeah, sometimes it's just a carrier. Sometimes the audio is very low. It depends. It's Cuba. It's always complicated. That's for the really like my PL330, but it's a second radio because of the chuffing. That's probably what, when you tune with anybody using the tuning knob a lot, that is a major problem, definitely. It never. That's why it's nice to have you guys' opinion on stuff also, because I rarely will tune with the tuning knob. So I don't have much of an issue in general with the tuning on these radios because I don't use it. I punch in direct frequencies and stuff like that. I use the ETM scan. But when I was doing videos where you guys could see me tuning around and telling you what the they that's when I noticed, whoa, this is really darn really, really annoying, that the tuning, the chuffing and the tuning. RGA Dakota PL330 works great for me for the price I paid. Bandwidths on the XH Data D808 are better, though. Better thought out. Both radio work very well for SSB, unparalleled for such cheap radios. I mean, it's they're inexpensive and they are amazing. I mean, it shows today's technology where it's reached another point. Greg says, Ethon Elite Executive on the FM band, the filter burned out. What do you mean the filter burned out? What do you mean by filter burned out? I don't understand. Richard Califano says, the MLA30 is a game changer for so little money. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jim, you don't have any all news or news talk station that can provide local storm coverage on AM or FM? Here, what happens is that we have, so in Montreal, okay, stations that are talk radio stations in the daytime, if we would have something happening like at 2 in the afternoon, we would have stations capable of doing some coverage. Yes. The problem is a lot of them, if not all of them, are going through automated processes at night. So if you go past, 9 p.m., almost all the stations are having some programming from somewhere automated. It's all computer controlled. There's nobody there to talk about it. And that is the weirdness here. So if there would be an emergency, there'd be nobody to on any station to be there live doing something. All the stations are on automation. It's crazy. So, and CFRA is a news stock station. It should have the capability of being on the air quickly when something happens. Well, nope. They didn't even take the time or think it was important, and people died and in the storms there. But they didn't think it was important to have anybody go live in an emergency. So it's crazy. That's why every station should have as a requirement, I think, the obligation of serving the community in an emergency. Emergency happens, you've got to be there. So Frank going on holiday next week. He's going to take the PL330 with him. Cool. Transceiver, when following storm chasers online, they are integrated with ham storm nets. Hammies are the backup, much valued. Yep, and there's the I've heard that many times, the CanWarn. Here we have the thing called CanWarn with the nets that activate when bad weather happens. Oh no, VT radio. Batteries leaked. Hope it didn't damage the radio itself too much. What else do we have? Well, I don't get it, Greg. The Ethon Elite's executive, what filter? There's no filter. The filters are for AM and shortwave. There's no filter on the FM band. So I'm wondering what you're mentioning here about what burned out. Yeah, Richard Wagner, but they don't. They don't do it. They don't override anything. The CFRA didn't override anything. And I mean, it was a really, really big crisis. The name says our stations wouldn't know how to deal with a crisis beyond blaming the politicians they don't like. Bugger is the Ethon Elite Traveler any good? And is it worth $90? Depends on which one. The Elite Traveler. I got, so the one, are you talking the one that does not have SSB, the small little portable? It's all the Ethon Elite series, the Traveler, the Elite Executive SSB, so perform well in general. They perform well in general. David's Radio Room, nice to have you on board. KJ3CMY. Dimitri, I like the Texan F51X, probably best portable with SSB, very sensitive receiver. Yeah, the Texan F501 is not bad at all. Not bad at all. Francis Morrison on BBC Radio 4. Many archives stored on CD, DVD are degrading, apparently 10% in performance. Also, BBC cutting back, so who knows what's going to happen to the World Service in the future. Yeah. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. There are there are some interesting um, developments happening with the BBC. One of the biggest problems is because they're going to remove the license fee in the future. It cuts out a lot of money from the BBC. So we're going to see what's going to happen there. Richard Califano 4 years ago, we had a couple of sonic booms from an Air Force jet at 2 in the morning. WJY went live and had a call-in show. People were so glad to have a live voice for information. Last time something happened, I mean, okay, let's face it. If you have power and internet, a lot of us go to the internet or going to watch TV on those news channels. And even the news channels is not necessarily of help because they are also kind of pre-recorded for the night. But a couple of years back, and that actually made me think about what's happening. A couple of years back, there was a couple of years back, there was a earthquake. It was around midnight. And, we do have these small earthquakes from time to time. Here it's a big talk because we don't have any. So what happens when you don't have any, even a small earthquake is the talk of the town. But that one was very unique because it had not only did the earth quake go on, it had kind of a boom in it. That was very surprising. So I heard it well because I was about to go to bed and I turned off everything, so it was very quiet. I was so surprised when it happened, and I was in total darkness too. And what happened is that my first reflex was to turn on the radio and try to go around the stations and see if anybody has anything to say. But then you realize nobody's live. So nobody's live to say anything. And basically the the what happened is while tuning around, I couldn't really get any news. And I ended up getting news where the only station that talked about it was the traffic station, which was the only station that I actually heard something because they were live and they had calls. And the guy came on and said, "Well, something's happening. Something's happening." So, YL Triza DW3TRZ Mabuhay. Watching from the Philippines. I accidentally blocked you. I will unblock you when I actually because I can't do it while I'm live. I will unblock you when the live show's over for that purpose of and this one I'm going to signal like this. Here we go. These are really annoying. Because I totally blocked you by accident, my friend in the Philippines. I'm sorry. So what else do we have? Let me check it out. So, anyways, the traffic station was the only one giving live info. People were calling in and asking what the hell did just happen. I think radio has a very, very important role to play, and if you add the fact that in when you have no more power, you have no more internet. You might have it on your phone, maybe, but for most part, you don't have internet, you don't have TV anymore. You have radio, and radio plays a giant role in a power outage. And I think it's important to have stations that are ready to kick in when an emergency happens. And here we see that it's not happening. Okay, what else do we have? RJDA Dakota. Most stations here are pre-formatted and are, for the most part, automated. Only live stations are KMOX and KTRS, and they are medium wave stations. Yeah, but the license fees are going to be phased out within the next 5 years, 7 years, something like that, and they need money. Carol, W7WXV, nice to have you on board. Did anyone get to check with WX4NHC today? Today there was the annual communications test of the National Hurricane Center on frequency 14325. Oh, didn't know. Kind of cool. Uncle Justin, nice to have you here from Western New York State, KB2RMC. What else do we have? What else do we have? So thank you for unblocking Bobby Burgess. What else do we have? Dimitri, I was trying many receivers, same frequency, and found out lack of sensitivity. So welcome from the Philippines, DW3TRZ. CJAD 800 isn't live at night. It's a pre-recorded show, Jim. They are completely they're playing some pre-recorded or recorded stuff. So I don't get it, Greg, because there's no filter. There's no filter on FM. I really don't understand what burned out. If you mean you can't use the filters are not accessible on FM. It's normal. It's not a problem. But for the rest, I really don't know what you're trying to say. Robert Cross tuning around with his Shortwave 77 tonight, his W77. Pretty cool. And since I am at the bottom of the chat, we're going to answer a couple of propagation-related questions that I have here. I'm just going to go to the email, and I've got... so we got Dave that is located in Sacramento, California. And he says that he can't join in the live shows because at these times he's working, but he checks the live shows all the time. Watches every video I post. Love the channel. Love the content. He says that he listened to Shortwave for 20 years in the 70s and 80s, then left. And the only reason he's back is that by accident, while searching for stuff, he actually found my channel on YouTube, and he was surprised that in 2020, when he found me, that people were still listening to Shortwave. So he's actually purchased a radio that he saw on my channel, which is the Texan PL 330. He says he didn't want to pay too much, and he thought it was a pretty good bargain with SSB, and he's very happy with it. And he's got, of course, a few questions that have to do with radio listening and propagation in general. So one of the first questions is about signals that he's hearing from different locations around the world. He says that, first of all, he's noticed that there's a lot of Chinese stations on the low frequencies in his morning, because he's in California. So we know that he's going to hear a lot of Asian signals possibly. So lots of Chinese stations in the low frequencies in the morning. Notice that there's a lot of Chinese frequencies and the high frequencies at night. Was wondering what is the phenomenon that makes these stations shift on frequencies that I'm hearing them during the day or night pattern. Well, it has to do, remember that propagation has to do with, and a lot of it has to do with the fair, the day and night patterns. So usually daytime you will use higher frequencies, and nighttime lower frequencies. So what happens is that pattern you see is when it's dark across the Pacific Ocean from California, you'll hear lower frequencies. So you'll hear the Chinese stations on the lower frequencies propagate to you. But when it's all daylight on the all daylight on the Pacific Ocean, then you'll hear the same signals, but you'll hear the higher frequencies because they are the one propagating in the daylight. So it really has to do with the type of propagation you get from day to night, and it's very, because that's the easy explanation, because there's a more complex thing in there that happens. When somebody tells me, well, how come right now I'm hearing 20-meter band? Say, for example, I did a contact on 20 meters with my FT450 at 11 p.m. at night. I mean, the sun is set for 3 hours at that point a few weeks ago. So it's 3 hours. The Atlantic Ocean is all darkness. How come 14 megahertz works? Well, there's other stuff that come into play when you do this. And one of them is the fact that you have the propagation from, say, over the pole. North Pole right now is in 24-hour daylight. It's capable of supporting high frequencies through the night. So if you're not too far from the pole, you can have contacts from Europe coming through the pole to North America. So there's a lot of it's a complex thing to assess general propagation, and it's really listen and learn the patterns of the different seasons, winter, summer propagation, day, night. Slowly you get the hang of it, and you kind of understand that, okay, these patterns are here. That's why Radio New Zealand, for example, I hear it on 15720 now, but I would not hear it in the winter. It's all the effect of frequency use versus seasonal patterns versus how much darkness or daylight is there between the two areas. It's a very complex thing, propagation, and but it's fun to learn more about it and to learn how to use it. Just gonna go down here a little more. Steve Conte says we're really lucky here in the New York Mitchell area. We have 2 powerhouses, all news stations and medium wave. To get reporters. I love, and I would love to have in Montreal an equivalent to WCBS 880 in New York. When I listen to that station, the speed that it goes through and the news you get, man, I love that. I'd love to have that here in Montreal. RGA Dakota says, really like WABC on Saturday evenings, but everyone is still pretty good on WABC and on WCBS. Yeah, but that's not the thing, Ronsia, is that you want the warnings. Yes, fine, because yes, the Videotron and even the phone, my phone gave me a warning while we were doing the show, actually. But the problem is not there. The problem is the storms went through. You have no more power. So forget Videotron, forget a lot of stuff. Forget a lot of stuff. Now you're stuck with how do I get my news? It's a possibility that you will have that news, um, you know, through your phone if the phone and the connection holds on. But there's a chance that that too doesn't work. You need radio. I mean, the people that are mad are not mad at there was a warning about thunderstorms and tornadoes. They're mad at we're in the dark and we've been in the dark for hours and nobody at a radio station was there live to kind of tell us what's happening, and how many people are affected and when will the power come back. None of it was activated. None of it worked. There was nothing there. So the problem isn't getting the storm warning. The problem is once the storm goes through and you have no more power, where do you turn to for news now? That is where the problem is. And that's where the people are ranting at at CFRA 580 in Ottawa, which is supposed to be a news station. You might expect to have news from it, just, out of curiosity. Christian Marcus, salut. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. What else do we have? JD Dakota says one of our pioneer radio stations, WEW 77, used to have diverse programming, but now all I hear is Brother Stare. Oh man, a medium wave Brother Stare. That would be. There are some changes coming maybe to radio here in Montreal. I've had some advanced info about maybe changes coming up more when things apparently might happen at some point. Kevin, nice to have you here. Thanks for the tip. And definitely will get myself a beer at the concert. Pretty cool. Can I get WBBM Chicago? What frequency are they on? Probably. Chicago will come in here in general. So, yep, Kevin, I will actually have a beer, and I'll think of you and have a little cheers at the concert. 780. Oh yeah. I get 780 here. WBBM. That call sign brings me. Yep, sunspot activity, the solar activity. There's an increase in some of the stuff we hear because of the higher solar flux, the solar activity being higher. There's a lot of things that are, propagating and hearing on, especially on the higher frequencies. Today is snowpocalypse in Texas. Had me out of power for a week. Yep. So you want to know what happens. You want to have a news source, and without power, what's your news source? Radio on a battery operated radio. Jim used to have all news 940. What happened to them? Here in Montreal, we have joke stations on 600 and 940, which came on with the promise of news and never happened. So what we have right now is 940 and 600 playing music, a lot of music, and almost nothing. There's nobody there. As we have Blagardie, massive wet snowstorm this year in central Virginia took down massive numbers of trees and power lines. We were without power for 4 days. Greg, how much was your ham transceiver? Well, I had the fantastic opportunity of getting it free from a fan that wanted to make sure that I get my ham license, and so I got it for free. Well, I had to pay the taxes on it, and that's it at the border. But I mean, it was given to me, which is very, very, very generous and very nice. Very, very nice. Just going to be here. Signal this. Here we go. So, you know, you want to have news when something bad happens, and it's kind of complicated right now because the stations are not, you know, they're not there anymore. Crystal radios when everything else fails. Yep, absolutely. That will work forever, or almost. What else do we have? Francis Moore. Apart from my ICOM Yisu AR kit, the Texan PL880 is a good receiver when on the move and at home. Got Morse reception this afternoon using it. Just be careful of fragile aerial. Yeah, the one of the biggest problems is the Texan receivers. A lot of them have a very, very thin antenna, so that's one thing that you've got to be careful not to break it. Jetcrafter. Yeah, it probably is 17855 that you're talking about. But if you're talking about what sounds like a sports caster, 17855 in Spanish is Radio Exterior de España. It's not on 17850, but it's 17855 that you're hearing in Spanish from Spain. They're probably having some kind of European football match. Dimitri, do you have solar panel batteries installed on your roof? It's perfect to have when the storm hits. Nope, nothing like that here. I do have a 12-volt panel and I do have I think it's an 18 amp hour lead acid battery. And what I used to do a lot is put the panel in a window here and make sure that it was connected to the battery to keep it charged all the time. And I removed it when I moved things around and didn't have the occasion to set it back and never set it back. But I should set it back so that I'd have the ability to run some of the radios. It used to be a battery that I would use to run my ICOM ICRD 500. So what would happen is that when power went out, I could run my ICOM ICRD 500 for many, many hours with that battery. And which is cool because, you know, when you have power outage, of course, no more noise. So Mark, nice to have you here. Anyone have a recommendation for a collapsible mask to use with the ML830 when traveling? That's a good question. Maybe you could somehow use like a camera tripod or something like that with some But if you want to have it as high as possible. I know that some of you are using portable, kind of a portable way. I don't know if anybody has a recommendation for our friend Mark here. Alan, did you like the FT450D? I was going to buy one new before I found the FT847. Earth Station popped up. RJD Dakota, during solar eclipse the past time, I was actually picking up nighttime stations in the day during the eclipse. Yeah, it is. A lot of people DX during solar eclipse because, especially what is interesting in there, you might actually hear stations on AM that you never heard before. And one of the reasons for this is the fact that they're in daytime power. So a lot of stations at night actually change pattern or will lower the power output of their antennas, the transmitters. And now, because it's daytime, it's not required. You don't have to lower your power in the eclipse. So you might actually hear stations that you never hear on the medium wave band when there's a solar eclipse. That's one thing I plan to do, because here in April of 2024, less than 2 years from now, there's going to be a total solar eclipse where Montreal is in the totality path of the solar eclipse. And I do want to tune around medium wave and even check what shortwave, what happens to shortwave during the eclipse. So this, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. And I am crossing my finger that we have beautiful weather for that solar eclipse. The first and probably the only time I'll ever see a total solar eclipse. We had one that was very, very close in the 90s. I was working back then in, I would say, 94, 95 ish. And we had one that was like 90, I think it reached 96% of the sun covered, which was very weird. Outside, it looked like very, very bizarre. And I remember, because I also had the glasses. I had actually took several pairs of glasses to be able to watch the eclipse at work, and so I had actually, which was very unique. That was one of those places you work where you can't stop working for 2 minutes. It's money. The only time ever that the boss came over, because I showed him that I had the eclipse glasses for everybody. The only time he came over, and when the 95-96% peak happened, the boss came and looked at all of us and says, "Joe's got the glasses. You guys have 10 minutes to watch the eclipse outside, then come back to work." And so we all went outside and watched the eclipse. Everybody was like, "Wow, he's giving us 10 minutes to watch an eclipse. This is," and we were actually joking around, because we were saying, so we're going to have 10 minutes off in our paycheck. But I can't wait for that totality in April of 2024. April or May 2024? It's April or May 2024. Andre Toma, in English, we celebrate 30 years celebration of the TV channel Arte year in Europe, Germany. Huh, interesting. Interesting. Chaz Stink, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky. Wonder what a crystal radio would do in MLA 30. It would I don't know. A crystal set would react to an MLA 30. Might not be that bad, actually. It will increase the signal levels. Kevin 9330, where's Last Chance, been playing on WBCQ for hours now. Strong signal. I wished it was a secular station. Yeah. I always say, well, turn off that transmitter. Why put that crap 500 kilowatt of crap on 9330? Dale Cheetown, nice to have you here from Chicago. Lug or die, the only thing I ever successfully purchased from AliExpress was a Tungsten replacement antenna. Like I said, Greg, my ham transceiver was donated by a good fan of my channel. Soccer day in Spain, Frank, Champions League finale between Liverpool and Real Madrid. Yeah, that's why he's excited. Mike WX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. It is, it's funny to hear, don't even understand the language and hear how the excitement of a game description, Mike WX50, thank you so much for the tip. Mike WX50, retiring from my career as a tech specialist in public school. They gave me a going away presentation at our assembly yesterday, which was extremely nice. Cool. Congratulations. You'll have more time for radio now. As Fred says, I was in New Brunswick for that eclipse. Tech Guy 17855, almost 20 plus here in Western New York. Jet Crafter, thanks, Joe. Yes, sounds like sports announcer. You're right. It was on 17855. Yeah. Sometimes it's when the radio's filters are a little too wide. It's easy to be 5 kilohertz off in the radio. Lord Kitchener, I'm back with my Texan H501. Thank you. Cool. Have fun. Have fun. Monsieur, and my CB days, I get skipped from Dallas daily with my Antron using a Midland and SSB Mobile 10 amp power supply. Wow. Oh yeah, that's the other thing though. Well, MLE30 does work for medium wave, so it might help still. It might help still. Because the crystal radio for shortwave would be like, Zenfaros, MLE30 might or might not work with a crystal radio. Crystal is just a diode and it has a breakdown voltage, probably very low. So yeah. I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not sure. When I was thinking about it, it was like, would it work or would it not work? I don't know. Lord Kitchener, why can I receive a local AM station on 90 meter band? It's normal. There are some first of all, pretty much all the Texan receivers will have, and most portables will have some form of slight images on strong medium wave stations in the bottom couple of megahertz. And this is for every portable, whatever portable you choose. When you go at 2 megahertz, 3 megahertz, it can happen sometimes. Also, the other thing is the other thing is that you might be also hearing harmonics, and that's also something to know. So, for example, if you have a station on 1600 kilohertz that is quite strong, don't be surprised that you might be hearing the second harmonic on 3200 kilohertz, the frequency times 2. So this is something that's possible. So you could be either receiving an harmonic, it could be some receiving mixed product within the receiver. Most portables are sensitive to that because they are very sensitive radios. It's not a problem or anything, or the radio doesn't have anything wrong. It is possible that it happens. For example, when I use ETM scan, my radio, my all of my ETM scan receivers, um, the um the uh, the 2 megahertz range are 2 megahertz range are sometimes I will have one stop on a medium wave station. Hey, Greg, I try to be smart. I try to. It's it's just an impression. I fake it. I give the impression I know what I'm talking about. Thanks, Greg. Michael, backup generator have fish tanks. Two of them are 150 gallons and one 265. Richard Wagner, The Simpsons did a great thing about soccer broadcast. Ken Brockman versus Spanish broadcaster. The Simpsons. Jetcrafter, speaking of filters, what is ideal for AM shortwave broadcast? I just looked at my Counticom GP7. It was set at 3.5. Um, if you don't have too much on either side, you want to have that filter pretty wide to have the best audio. The Remember that the filters will block the audio frequency of what you're listening. So if you put it too small, you're blocking part of the audio. Sounds less interesting to listen to, a little more like muffled, like if you're talking inside a box. So, in most of the broadcast stations, when you're listening, you put it pretty wide. I usually will choose something like 5 that I find kind of, sometimes some radios have 6 available for shortwave, some have only 5. I'll usually choose 5, which for me is pretty much the compromise of good audio and not too wide of a filter at the same time, so that the adjacent stations don't mess up too much what you're listening to. But playing around with the filters, you'll use the lower, like for example, you'll use the 3.5 if you're squeezed between two other stations, because that's going to prevent you from hearing the other ones kind of splash through. But it depends on where and how, how many stations are close together on the range you're listening. Yeah, I heard RJDA Dakota. I think it was on Radio Nacional Amazona one night, a sports broadcast in Portuguese. That was pretty amazing too. Chance, thank. A few years ago, we were in the dark for the eclipse. Luckily, work let all of us view the show. Cool. Dimitri, please post pictures of solar eclipse on your channel. We want to see the event from Montreal state point of view. So yeah, we're gonna try to. We got 2 years. 2 years. We'll see what can happen in that time. Del Cheetown 17855 coming here in Chicago on a Texan PL 31080 indoor with telescopic. Victor Osorio, second harmonics from medium wave stations are reduced to the minimum, and if you hear them, it means your receiver is very sensitive. Yeah, and if you're not too far from an AM radio station, I had the second and third harmonic of a station that was in Montreal. So on 1610 kilohertz, the Haitian station, when it started broadcasting, was barely, and I mean barely, I'd say a kilohertz, a kilometer and a half, 2 kilometers away, max. It was very close. They had 1 kilowatt on that, a loop antenna. When they signed on, and I had my ICOM ICRD 500, which is immune to, pretty much immune to any, intermodulation effect. I was tuning the lower frequencies, and I could hear 1610 on 32 20, and I could also hear it on 4830, the second and third harmonic, which always amazed me. And the third harmonic was weaker than the second one, but I was hearing both of them. But I was so close, and they were blasting. I had to actually lower the sensitivity of radios on medium wave here when I was going through that frequency. Kalatcon decoded some HFDL on WebSDR, Hawaii 8912. I need to make a video and talk about that for sure. I'm Reader Live. Love to have you on as a guest sometime on the channel. I've reached out a couple of times. It would be an honor for you to have you as a guest regarding shortwave. Let me know. Yes, I've watched your show a few times. Ham Radio Live. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. We'll try to do something. I've listened to your show quite a few times on WRMI. Um, Always very, very interesting. What's the schedule? Can you post the schedule of your show so that everybody can listen to you, my friend? Uh, um, it'd be. I'm sure that a lot of people would enjoy listening to your broadcast via WRMI. Catalin, nice to have you here from Germany. Found it interesting how electricity leaves the antenna and becomes waves. It's very unique, eh? It's very, very interesting to see, electromagnetic waves and try to figure out these invisible waves of invisible because our eyes don't see electromagnetic information, but it's kind of cool to have all of that and just thinking about it, thinking about just as I'm doing this right now, all the invisible radio electromagnetic waves that are crossing this room, probably just crazy. Mark Tuyet, nice to have you here. Still using my DGen 1103 you recommended years ago. Nice to see your channel has grown since then. Cool. Happy to. It's a great radio. It's still a great radio today, honestly. It's pretty amazing. I need to make a couple of videos on with it. Definitely. I mean, I take it out from time to time. I can see and hear in my collection. And I mean, it's still a great radio today. Anybody that has a DGen 1103 has a great radio even today. Lord Kitchener, about an FFJ active antenna, 1021C, but it is no better than my 30 feet long wire with a simple Grove tuner mini tuner. I was hoping for better results. Seems a lot of noise. Uh, active antennas. So you got to be careful with active antennas. Uh, First of all, if it's quiet where you are, an active antenna is not a choice in general because you will have great signals and you can just extend that wire and have it even longer if you can. That will actually make it even give you even more signals. Um, in an quiet environment, that will probably beat most of the active antennas and it's like what I say, the MLA30. It's great in a noise environment for lowering that noise so you have better signal to noise ratio, but you have to understand that in a quiet environment you might not be happy with it because what's going to happen is that you will notice that the long wire you have outdoors might actually be getting even more signals and better signals. Um, it's not a magical antenna, and each antenna has its purpose and its positioning, and it's depends on the environment. Plus, if you buy a active antenna, remember that most active antennas are little antennas that are close to the radio indoors. You're going to get a lot of the indoor noise with it. So, it's sometimes you buy stuff and you're like, well, maybe this is going to help out, and then you get kind of bummed out a little bit. Um, I'll one of the things I'll say here is also, you know, when you pay for something, when especially when it's expensive. When I purchased my W6LVP loop, that thing is expensive, and I got it, played around with it. Then I learned about the MLA30, tried it, and I have to say, had I known about the MLA30, I would never have gotten a W6LVP loop, because suddenly realized that much that less expensive, and I mean less expensive by a long shot antenna, the MLA30, gave me the same signals. And the W6LVP, I can't see much of any improvement, except maybe in the lower frequencies. But now I've got that filter that blocks medium wave and long wave, which isn't helping. So I, was that's another moment where you're kind of bummed out. It's like, wow, I paid, I would have had easily 5 MLA30s, 6 MLA30s for the price that I paid the W6LVP loop. And that's where, when somebody said, well, the W6LVP loop will last a long time, I don't care. If I had to replace the MLA30 once a year, I'd have for 6 years of MLA30 for the price of the W6LVP loop. So it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's all a question, and using an active antenna, and it's really very very dependent on the environment. Do you have a lot of noise where you are or not? Uh, you know, Quiet environments. I'll say it again and again. Put some wires out there, and you're gonna be great, and you don't need anything else really. So yes, Ham Radio Live. I'll let you know. No problem, Larry. K7HN. As we have. Just check it out here. And here we go. Cool Ham Radio Live. Thank you, Larry. André, je dis merci à Apt. Je vous aime. Nous trouverons un moyen ensemble. I think I have that on cable here, if I'm not mistaken. David, yep. What fascinates me is looking at an antenna and not really seeing much, yet in reality, there's a whole lot of stuff happening there, like magic. Yep. When I was doing some ham contacts, a couple of weeks ago, and the way I was positioned in the kitchen, I could see my end-fed sloper that I was transmitting from, and I got a moment of amazement when I made a couple of European contacts with Bulgaria and Greece, and I got one in the Netherlands, one in Bulgaria, one in Greece. I was amazed at two things. First of all, with just 100 watts output, voice, and that little piece of wire that I was looking at in the backyard and thinking, my signal gets out of that wire, is bouncing off the ionosphere, and is being heard thousands of kilometers away. I had this little moment of fascination of, wow, this is so, so cool. Um, Chastang WHAS 840 rents from my uncle the land that they have the antenna, and it's within 5 miles of me, but I have not noticed any interference over years. Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised, Ron. Um, what do we have? To name it, I was going to buy the latest edition ARL antenna handbook yesterday, but the digital material was unavailable. DJ Farlow, nice to have you on board. Apologies if it's been asked before, but do you expect the performance of the upcoming Ethon Elite Executive HD model with HD radio to suffer compared to the original? It's anyone's guess. What happens is we don't really know much about the electronics yet and its performance level, so it's kind of difficult to really assess and know if that thing is going to perform well or not. I think we'll have to wait until it gets out, if it ever gets out, because it's been, what, 2 years since the promise of getting it out, and it's still not available. So I don't know. We're going to have to see. One thing for sure is that the price that it's going to be sold, I have no plans of buying one unless unless you guys fund me for a chunk of it. I find that it's too expensive. Um, and the original ones have all sorts of problems with the display and everything. So that's also something that I'm wary about. Did they improve or change something on that also at the same time? That's great. Tenamus custom antennas, playing around with antennas on your own is great. Minta Lunar, I never tried a long wire antenna because I'm half a mile from an AM station and I get a lot of AM breakthrough. I always figured that would not be the way to go and would make breakthrough worse. Yeah, but you can actually filter it out. There's filters available that can remove the medium wave band from your from the antenna's reception. But you should still try it. You know why? If you have the ability to put that wire in different directions, you might actually be able to put it in a direction where the wire performs well and the breakthrough is actually less of a problem. Thank you, Lord Kitchener, for the tip. Very nice to have that. Thank you so much. Just somebody new house. Nice to have you on board, my friend from Brazil. My MLA30 is working perfectly when my Texan PL600. Have you tried to connect it to a vintage radio? May overload? Definitely, it's a possibility on very strong signal that there is a overload. I've tried it on pretty much every radio. They all react differently to it. Some radios definitely overload more than others on it. It really, really depends on the radio you're using with it. So it could, yes, it could, no. It depends on the radio. And it depends on how well the radio is built. So, but it is to test. It is to test. If you have a vintage receiver of any kind and you want to try it, do try it. It might actually work great. But yeah, there are some that overload much more than others, definitely. Andy New, thanks for having contact with Larry KH7HN on Ham Radio Live. I know it would be great to have you on this show. Check that out, absolutely. San Faro's cleanest U.S. Coast Guard Marine weather signal I've seen on 6501 upper sideband. Let me see here if we're getting it. 6501 upper sideband. It's a little weak. We're going 8764. Wow, 8764. Look at that. That's what it sounds like, guys.
Thursday night. South winds less than 10 knots. Seas 3 feet.
It is less distorted than usual. It's a little bit. It is a little bit, but it's much cleaner than it is usually. I gotta tell you that. So that's 8764.
Seas 4 to 6 feet. Sunday.
Where are the frequencies they use?
Seas 5 to 6 feet.
Let me check.
East winds 15 to 25 knots Gulf of Venezuela and east 10 to 20 knots elsewhere. Seas 5 to 7 feet.
So 8764.
East winds 10 to 20 knots.
This is Chesapeake, Virginia.
7 feet. Monday night. East winds 10 to 20 knots. Seas 5 to 7 feet. Tuesday.
So
East winds 10 to 20 knots. Seas 5 to 7 feet. Tuesday
at this time,
East winds
13089. Let's try 13089. Not barely hearing 13089. Barely. 8764 is definitely the best here.
4 to 5 feet.
But yeah, total improvement. It's much better than it was so distorted before.
Seas 4 to 5 feet.
There is a cleanup. I don't know if somebody did some work on the transmissions or something. I gotta say. Catalin, I was thinking about how robust the lower modulation is on how it can be used on HF, but that's similar with digital modes like FT8. Shortwave radio passion. Bought a PL880 1 month ago, and I really love it. I like also the design of the St. Jean ATS 909X2, but I don't think it could give me better performance. Would it make sense to switch from the 880 to the 909? No, don't. If you want to have both because you feel like you'd like to have the other one, okay, yeah, go for it. You'll have two great radios. 909X2 has drawbacks that are kind of, doesn't put it for me in the best of category, but it's still a good radio. And honestly, if you are thinking of moving to the 909X2 thinking, oh, it's going to be better. No, you're not. It's not going to be better. The only thing you'll add is airband and RDS on FM. In general, we're pretty much that. For the rest, I think you're great. The 880 is great. DJ Fowler, I know the new satellite has been delayed for years, but didn't realize they were making a new model of the Elite Executive just with HD. The display looks different, so Todd electronics change. Yeah, I think it's going to be, when it's going to come out. I think that's the only time when we're going to really see if things come to this. We'll see. And we'll see. I'll assess. I know this is a shortwave channel. I know a lot of people want to have my opinion on a lot of these radios, which does mean that, it might be, there might be something that pushes me to get it, see if it's worth it for me to get that radio or not, even though it's very expensive. to maybe try it in review and give my opinion. But for now, that radio at the price in US that is going to be sold brings it up to, you know, a radio that's almost $1,000 here in Canada. Better give me a really good radio if you want me to pay $1,000. Thomas Tamaro, antenna mystery is 99, 100 science and expertise and 1/100th alchemy. There are a lot of books out there for guidance, but you got to get out in there and play. Nice to have you here from Jersey. Yep, definitely. Over the years, nothing, over the years, nothing fancy, not that much antenna reading, a lot more trial and errors and putting up wires and trying stuff. And it's part of the fun of radio at the same time, honestly. Blogger Die, what's your opinion on AA versus 18650 versus Bl5c batteries for powering portable radios? Every time we talk about this, I always get, stop whining about 18650s and lithium ion and blah blah blah. And my thinking, in a major market and with the internet and all, it definitely is easy to get any type of battery for these radios. Definitely. So if you are in a big city like I am in Montreal, getting these batteries are easy. I get it. But in terms of usability, of how easy it is to find in the case where you would go camping, you're going to be near a small town. You're not going to be near a big city anymore. That's where I always say the AA batteries, you got that everywhere. You're going to be in Iqaluit, Nunavut. You'll get AA batteries somewhere. I might not get 18650s or Bl5cs easily, So that's the thing. It's really for accessibility of the batteries that I actually rant a little bit about it. But in terms of power versus performance, I mean, yeah, 18650s are great. They have a lot of power for the size. And the Bl5c batteries are kind of a little small, but I get it that for such small packages, the amount of power given is better than having alkaline batteries. David, same show. Whenever I achieve DX QSOs, I often find myself looking at the antenna and thinking, wow, a signal is radiated from there and goes so far. No wonder it's called magic of radio. Yep, definitely. Definitely. What else do we have? Alan, never heard a handband so dead tonight. Weird conditions. I know that we were supposed to maybe get into some, check it out here. Some spaceweather.com. Maybe get into some geomagnetic storming. So I don't know what's happening right now. Seems pretty quiet now. K is 1. But I know that there could have been some, if I look at the bands, let's go to the 20-meter band here, see if we get stuff. One part of the band that should be very active right now is the bottom part for the CW contest. 14. Let's check out the bottom. Oh, man. There's a lot of activity, but on CW. Look at that. I'm going to show you guys. Look at that here. These are all Morse code signals. on the 20-meter band, from like 14,000 all the way up to 14 man, 14. It's pretty crazy. These are all Morse code. 14080, just to the FT8 frequency ish. Pretty amazing. You see all the activity there. So it shows you that. So maybe your bands are dead because they're all in CW. They've all gone to that CW. Thomas Kitts, nice to have you on board. Tom and Susie, Northern Michigan, nice to have you on board. The name is, I really want to build a directional high gain antenna. You better pick up the local airport in VHF. Yeah, especially in HF, in VHF, UHF range, when you hear specific things. Directional antennas are very, very important for that. An omnidirectional works great for all-around performance, just for general listening, but it does not have the gain of these directional antennas. Same for satellites. One of the things that I would like to have is a dedicated 2 meters, 70 centimeter antenna, directional antenna for the ham satellites, to get much more power than what my antennas right now, which are, a vertical. It's to it's the signals are weaker on a vertical or a discone, which has just general coverage of all around, really omnidirectional. Sir, oops, I'm just gonna go back here. Sir Maximus Harwood, nice to have you here. Marty Boy, nice to have you on board. In Scotland, pretty cool to have you here. Marco Davey, nice to have you on board. What shortwave radio would you recommend for a first radio, small and portable? If you want to have really small and portable, Texan PL330 is definitely an amazing entry level radio, and more than entry level, it's actually a great radio. Metal Lunar says, also prefer AA's for at least a couple of radios, so you can always get the batteries for emergencies. But I guess if you have a lot of radios, then it doesn't matter as much. I've got a lot of it. Look, I got like 7 or 8 Bl5cs waiting, and that's not counting the ones in the radios. I've got at least a dozen 18650. I got a lot of power for many hours. Plus, yes, absolutely. Those radios that use these batteries, you could bring a power bank that you could use for charging phones, and you just plug in your shortwave radio into that power bank to charge those batteries, and you'll have a lot of power. It's just for the easy availability of the batteries that I'm ranting more. All right, the kitty from Susie. Cool. He's sleeping in the bed right now, but I will tell him. And yeah, rechargeable. I use only rechargeables too, but I always keep the batteries, alkaline batteries. Honestly, I always keep alkaline batteries, because you never know when power's out and you have no ability to recharge. So it's always good to have, in storage, some alkalines. DJ Farlow, do you prefer cubic SDR over SDR Uno? I'm using the latter, but thinking about giving cubic SDR a try. I've used it once. You know what? You kind of make me think that I should probably go around checking a little more about the different SDR software out there. Because right now, all I'm doing is going between the AirSpy HF Plus, which is SDR console V3, and SDR Player SPDX, when I'm using SDR Uno. But I definitely should be looking into maybe a little more variety of software. Sergio, nice to have you on board from Sydney. Blogger Die used PL380 for a long time, and it's a fine unit, but it doesn't have SSB. It doesn't cover all the way to 30 megahertz. Yep, that was one of the first portables, small portables that I actually have reviewed here a long time ago. And it's interesting. I in my unboxing of receivers that I need to continue doing, I'll find it and need to compare it again. But it's a good radio. It's an okay radio, but you see that it's not as sensitive, and when you compare it to a PL330, it's like, wow, Texan has come a long way in many years. Take care, Larry. Ham Radio Live, and we'll be in contact with you, my friend. Khalid, nice to have you here from Riyadh. JS, nice to have you here from Belgium. Thanks for what you publish running a SunSDR here. Great product and a puzzle in terms of software. Yeah, these software, you got there's a learning curve on all of them. Hi, 61. Nice to have you here from Colorado. Pretty cool to have you on board. So, pretty cool. Take care, Luigi. Toujours un plaisir. Nice to have you here, as usual. Storms, radios, and cats. Nice to have you on board. So when you get them all together, storms, radios, and cats. Cats go crazy because of the storms, and if your radio has an outdoor antenna, you can't use it because of the storms. So according to Zigzag 11, it's my fault that he's I blame Jill for my day-to-day stretching out and soldering speaker wire for the last few hours. Oh man. Well, get something to watch. I like to watch something, like, if I in the 80s had some guy like this talking about radio, I would have been on the radio and looking at what the guy's saying, and having a lot of fun. Definitely be doing all sorts of things. I've been having a lot of fun in the last week watching on YouTube the old episodes of Computer Chronicles from the 80s and 90s and 2000s, laughing my head off at how technology was so basic and complicated, and some of the episodes are like, I looked at them today and I'm like, what was that? Wasn't that kind of a wasted episode or something? It's just so funny to watch that. But you watch that and you do something else, you do other things. Cat controlled radios, but in the start, better make sure to use an indoor antenna. Yep. OJ Jenkins ordered a PL330 from Anonco. Should be here next week. Watched all the vids you have put out. Hope the sync detection works good. Okay, nothing fantastic, but it doesn't matter, honestly. Just tune upper sideband, lower sideband, does the same thing. It's just that the sync is an automated process where it locks in. But you'll have the PL330. It's a great radio. Joseph, when I get my GP7, I should pop open my GP5 and try to understand what's going on down in there better. Well, it's interesting to to see the internals of radios and see how they're built and how it works, and it's kind of interesting, you know. Alan, oh yeah, it's even worse. It's like yesterday I was I was listening to the episode dedicated to DOS 6.2. Yeah, there could be. Some of them are tough. Some radios, it's very tough to get any schematics, any manuals. It depends on the model. Some models are easy to find and you get them immediately. Some models, it's like, forget it, you just don't find anything. Sir Maximus Hardwood says the 330 and the ML830 together have been a great first radio for me. Well, you will love it. So, you know, I was looking at that episode with DOS 6.2 yesterday, and I was thinking, man, from DOS 6.2, which I've used extensively back in the day, to live shows on YouTube talking about radio, we've gone a long, long way on technology. I can tell you that. Pretty amazing. So, yep, that CW contest shows on the bands. It's full of CW everywhere. So everybody's in CW. Pretty crazy. Thomas Kitts, our three sons are into the Army radios. Wow, interesting. Let me check when for the email, because we do have our friend Dave in California that also had a couple of more questions that we could check out here. As question number 2 that he has is about why is it that AM radio, medium wave band, fades out in the daytime and comes to life at night? I've always been fascinated and want to understand the reason for this to happen. Very simple. So, medium wave stations at night kind of operate and become a little bit like shortwave signals. They will bounce off the ionosphere and fall further away. That's why you're hearing, that's why, for example, here in Montreal, I'm hearing New York very well at night. Of course, you don't hear New York in the daytime. So the reason for that is simple, is that when the sun gets up, so the ionosphere has several layers. And when the sun gets up, actually, one of those layers that is created with solar radiation absorbs the medium wave frequency range. So that D layer that is done when the sun gets up is actually absorbing all of the energy. So what happens is that during the daytime, no bounces off the ionosphere because it's absorbed. It doesn't work. So all you'll hear is what is ground wave. Now, ground wave can sometimes be pretty amazing in the distance that it will actually go. It's very surprising how ground wave can actually go a good distance, but the most of it is the the absorption. And when the sun sets, the reorganization of the layers of the ionosphere and the disappearance of the D layer, then the signal starts bouncing off the ionosphere again, and you hear stations and medium wave from far away. Question number 3, and still about medium wave. How far of a distance can you hear medium wave AM stations in perfect conditions? Pretty much from halfway across the globe. There are some DX targets out there that are just so far away. It all depends on a mix of different things. It depends on the radio you'll use, how good it is on the medium wave band. The antenna is very important for medium wave and AM radio propagation and reception. And then, of course, depending on time of day, between point A and point B. That's your station and the other one you're trying to listen to. But it can go halfway around the world. From California, you would, in the best of conditions with the perfect antenna, radio, and everything, be able to log stations from the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific area, up to Australia on medium wave. It's more difficult than a shortwave signal to do so, and it is difficult because the bands are crowded with local stations. But it's not impossible, and some people DX from really far away, really really far away. So here on the East Coast, we have a lot of guys that get all of these stations on medium wave from Europe and the Middle East, and so it's pretty crazy. When the conditions are great, and you have the perfect radio antenna setup, low noise, it you can listen to the world on medium wave. And his last question is about solar flux and high frequencies. Is there a chart where we can see solar flux equals that amount of maximum usable frequency? And he says, an example, if the solar flux is 150, can we match it to a specific maximum usable frequency somehow? It's not as simple as that. Solar flux, which is measured at 2,400 megahertz, somewhere around there, it's actually giving us an idea of the amount of energy the sun is actually sending out. That number of solar flux, you can't really match it to a specific megahertz, maximum megahertz range, because it's a little complex. The sun rays and the radiation, the solar radiation, doesn't arrive equal everywhere. So the Earth is round, unless you're listening to 9330 kilohertz WBCQ. The Earth is round, so depending on latitude, the angle of the sun is different. The maximum usable frequency is different. So an example of that, you'll see it, especially if you're closer to the poles. Here in Montreal, we do see that effect a lot. When you get wintertime and the sun is very low in the sky, you have less of a solid radiation and ionization of the ionosphere. And it shows because you'll hear lower frequencies that you don't hear in summertime when the sun is very high and there's more solar radiation hitting the ionosphere. So you can't match it really, because depending on where you live, it's different. You can have an idea of what it's going to help out. Like, I've, for example, noticed that when the solar flux hits about 100, you can pretty much most of the time notice that 10-meter band is open, 28 megahertz. Uh, so there's all sorts of things like that. The other thing that also makes it difficult to match a frequency, a maximum usable frequency to solar flux, is the geomagnetic activity at the same time. So you might have a solar flux of 200, which technically should make 10-meter band be great, but you might have some geomagnetic storming or some unsettled conditions in the geomagnetic field that will kind of make that effect, kind of reverse that effect somehow. So this is the difference here. So you can't, there's no real matching, but you kind of know that, well, when solar flux is here or there, you just you know the 10 meters open, or that this band probably is open. But it's not a sure thing. It's not 100% sure There's so many other factors and so many other things that get into that same effect. So it's pretty crazy sometimes. So thanks for the question and the questions, and thanks for saying hello through the email. Pretty nice to have you here. And propagation and conditions on the radio, it's so complex, all that you get, all that happens with all of that, and put that together. What else? What else do we have here? DJ Farlow's 100% agree. It's even worse when your 70s radio was only released in Japan. They didn't make it easy to get schematics. Nope. No problem, Marco. Frank, good old days, DOS and Lotus 123. Yep. Take care, Art Dodd. Always nice to have you on board. Alan, again, in the layers of the ionosphere separating during the day and all coming together at night. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, I got this radio voice. I probably have the good voice for the radio. Sir Maximus Hardwood, I get 8:80 a.m. from New York and Detroit at night. It was better in the winter. I got an AM station from Des Moines. Yeah. Like WX50, I think the furthest AM station I've received here in Fayetteville, Arkansas was Los Angeles, 1,600 miles. I've heard a few Europeans back in the 90s. I hear a couple of Europeans I can see in the waterfall of my SDR. I can see their peaks, like the one on 882, which is BBC from the UK, but not enough to make a to listen to a program. I did hear Norwegian. It was strong enough to really notice and listen that it was Norwegian from Norway back in the 90s. It was on, what was it? Was it 13, 14 kilohertz or something? I'm trying to remember. Of recent times, what have been able to listen to a couple of winters ago, not last winter, the winter before, was Radio Rebelde from Cuba on the bottom. It's like on 630 kilohertz or 620 kilohertz or something. That surprised me a lot. Alan, no, I completely forgot. I need to take note of that and check that out. Definitely, Alan, for the documentary. I'm going to take note of it. Here, I'm going to write it down here on a separate tab, so I don't forget it. I really want to check that out. Andre Toma, 4848.5 Beacon Watch. Bob Raymond, thank you so much for the tip. Love the show. Usually I listen to recording. Ham and Shortwave DXer, former Radio Shack manager. Wow, pretty cool. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for the tip. And nice to have you here, Bob. So Bob in Massachusetts. Zenfaro, it's pretty weird to hear a shortwave broadcaster has some flattered programming. Propagation is one of the roundest Earth phenomenon there is. Yep. RJDA Dakota, I picked up Bonaire in the Netherlands Antilles from Missouri many times. I heard 800 Bonaire in the Netherlands Antilles in the Caribbean back sometime in the 90s. There was because here in Montreal we've got CJ 8800, so forget about listening to the NEDX on that frequency. But I recall there was a antenna maintenance at CJ80 somewhere in the 90s, and I heard the Bonaire the Bonaire transmitter on 800 that night. Thanks to that, it's the only time I've ever. They were. I don't know if today they still have that power, that huge power, because they were running like an amazing amount of power on 800 kilohertz, if I'm not mistaken. Francis Moore, if you get a chance on BB4UK, BBC4 UK, Professor Jim Khalidi programs about the small and large in 2 episodes. One's the small and 2 the large. Huh. That'd be interesting. DVD Exter, back home. Cool. Chance Tang, take care. Always nice to have you on board, my friend. Sir Maximus Harwood, do you use a web SDR? Do you have your own? What's your favorite web SDR? So my SDRs are here. They're all here. So I use for example, the AirSpy HF Bl5c running on the computer here. This is my SDR. It's over there. I don't know if you can see it really. It's a little box that's over there. It's plugged to my MLE30 loop outdoors through a multi-coupler. So this is my own SDR that I use here, which is an AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. Also, on the big screen TV that I actually control the live show, I have a SDR Play RSPDX, which is also an SDR I run here in Montreal on with my antenna outside just here on the balcony. That said, I do use web SDRs. I do use a lot of them because there's a lot of stations, a lot of the SDRs that are amazing. They're sensitive and they give me the ability to hear things I could not hear over here. If I had to choose just one SDR that I really love, I think I would choose the University of Twente SDR in the Netherlands because of multiple factors. It's sensitive. It's really good at receiving. It has such an amazing amount of connections at the same time that, you always have a spot you can tune, where regular Kiwi SDRs, sometimes they're locked down at 4 or 8 users, which makes it a little more difficult sometimes. But that said, there are a few that I do choose when I go on the web SDR, the Kiwi SDR, like the one in the Arctic Circle in Norway. I kind of like, and I'll generally tune around a lot of the SDRs depending on. I'll choose them more over location of what I'm trying to listen to. For example, another thing that I'll do sometimes is if I call CQ, or if I on my ham gear I'm trying to contact a station in a certain place, I might tune an online SDR in that country to see if I hear myself on it. So when I actually give my call, I have an idea if I actually hear myself or not. I know I have a shot at actually making that contact. So once again, thank you so much, Bob, for the nice tip. What else do we have? Michael, very interesting and great show with a lot of information. Simon Templar, nice to have you on board, my friend. Hope you are well. Blogger Die heard Radio Netherlands on From Bonaire 15220 on August 30th, 1966, south of Alabama. There's a great article that was written by in the CIDX Messenger this month. We talk about how higher propagation is really going to do this. And then I'm going to do this because I want to make sure that I report. Okay, here we go. There we go. So, what I was saying here is there's a great column or article that was written actually in the Messenger, and I'm just gonna go here into the latest edition of the Messenger. Messenger. Yeah. I know. Messenger. So the article is written by Rob Wagner from Australia, VK3 BVW. And he talked about whatever happened to the 11 meter band. And by the way, guys, the Messenger is a great publication if you guys want to have a great publication that's really not expensive. The Canadian International DX Club, the Messenger is great. And I have my utility column in it. Look at all the stations logged. So stations that were on 11 meters, which is a 25 megahertz band. If you guys remember, some of you might remember the good old days of. I certainly remember. I got a QSL from Radio RSA South Africa 25790. So look at that. These are the stations that used 25 megahertz back in the day. 25610 Radio Netherlands. 25620 Voice of America Delano. 25650, 670, and 710 BBC. 25730 Radio Norway. 25750 BBC again. 25790 Radio RSA. 25800 Voice of America from Greenville. 25840 Vatican Radio. 25880 Voice of America from the Morocco transmitter site. 25900 Radio Norway. And then 920, 950, 990, 26000, 26040, 26095. All Voice of America frequencies from different locations across the US and one in Liberia. I mean, really, really amazing to see this and to see the stations that have that are on the shortwave 11 meter band. It's not being used, but recently we noticed that the Radio France has registered a frequency on 11 meters. So, yeah, 500 kilowatts, Bonaire. Yeah, Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. Oh, man, I miss Radio Shack here. Like we all do, I think. Alan, listen to K3FEF in the States for the watch nets. K6RXD. I do that all the time, trying to hear myself on WebSDR. VT Radio, Paul, take care, 73. Joseph, there's intermittently QESDRs in places where there's very interesting broadcasts you never usually hear. There were a couple of in Pakistan a year or two ago. Yeah, and this is a lot of fun for that, being able to hear broadcasts that you'll never hear at your location, honestly. Simon Templar, rainy and cold day, perfect day for a show and seeing what's up on the shortwave bands. Cool. Take care, Richard. Stay safe, my friend. Eric Cottrell, DOS 6.22 ran very fast on the computers of 10 years ago. Yep. It reminds me of when I wanted to play a DOS game on a Pentium, like a Pentium 233, which was like the first Pentiums. And You had to actually use an app to slow down the computer because the games were just non-playable. They were too fast. Zukisper, nice to have you on board from London. Blogger Die started with a Nana Ola 10 NT504 5-band long-wave shortwave radio, 10 transistors. Nick Sharp, yep. Radio RSA 25790. Got the QSL here. Need to continue with my my series, shortwave past and present. K6RXD, yep. We were showing the I was showing the 20 meter band and all the activity. It's crazy on the bottom part. Mike WX50 received Radio RSA South Africa 25790 in 1981. Oh man, yep. Nick Sharp HCJB was also testing 11 meter band all those years ago. Yep, there's I know there were more than that. I think Deutsche Welle did, Radio France did. So there are some stations in there that are missing because there are some other ones that did also. Blogger Die heard Guyana broadcasting on 21.720 and 66. Ouch. Yeah, well, right now there's absolutely no international broadcaster on 25 megahertz, but there are a few things on 25 megahertz. Cool, Robert Cross. Sir Maximus Hardwood, have you ever dabbled in radio astronomy, you mean? Because radio astrology is another thing. Radio astronomy, not really, but that would be something definitely if I'd have more time on my hand and I'd just be able to do what I want, I would definitely love to try all sorts of stuff with radio astronomy. Blogger Die heard Radio Canada International in 21585 in 1981. Yeah, Radio RSA team song, absolutely. Well, there is radio astrology. It's listening to that girl say give astrology on the radio channel on the radio. It is radio astrology. It's a common mistake, mixing astronomy and astrology. Every time I'd have a telescope out when I was younger, people pass by and says, "Oh, he's doing astrology, no astronomy." And I was always kind of correcting them because I was always like, "No, astronomy ain't the same thing exactly at all." But I'd like that. Radio astronomy would definitely be kind of cool. Richard Wagner, we had a program called Slow for programming Motorola radios with newer laptops in 2000. Yep, there's actually Jupiter could be one that you can actually hear, and you don't even realize it. Around 21, 22, 23 megahertz. And you know what? From what I've seen in many, many posts, we might all have heard without even knowing that the crackle and the pop that you just heard on your radio actually came from Jupiter. Thank you, Robert Cross, for the tip. Much appreciated. Dmitry, I wish my boss like this. I eventually have to work all the time. Simone, I have an MLA30 Plus now, but I would like to listen to VHF, UHF. I read that AirSpy U-Loop could work for 6 meter band. Is it true? Use an RSP1A SDR receiver. It works, but it's not the best necessarily. I don't know where, if you have a lot of strong VHF, UHF stuff around you and FM radio stations, strong FM radio stations. Here it's unusable, but for people that live in areas where the VHF, UHF, FM signals are not too strong, one that can be surprising that will give you both the MLA30 capability on shortwave and medium wave, but a much larger frequency range. The what is it? The KWA 180, which actually is designed to actually work up to 180 megahertz. And in many tests that I've seen, a lot of people say it's still pretty good, even at 3 and 4 and 500 megahertz for the VHF range. But that said, you'd be better off getting a separate VHF, UHF antenna and just keeping the MLA30 for the shortwave, medium wave stuff. Personally, and you could easily in the software just switch. Yeah, the Radio Jove project, kind of interesting, asking the help of everybody. Bl5c 777, nice to have you here. KC1 PSK. Frank, 25950 was used by HCJB Radio, received it in 1990. And they had that, remember HCJB had that experimental upper sideband that was on like 24 hours on 21455, I believe. Sergio, quick question. What type of signals are those rare foghorn sounders sometimes pop up in HF? It depends the frequency range where you are, but if you're on AM mode and hearing something that sounds a little bit like a foghorn, it could be that you're getting some cell call in the aeronautical bands, because on AM mode they kind of sound like that a little bit. So if you're on the aeronautical frequencies, you're probably hear a cell call, which is selective calling. It's a way of turning on the receiver in a specific airplane, so that when the air traffic control station wants to communicate with a plane, they all have a specific cell call, which will only unlock the radio when that specific tones or set of tones is sent. So that would be, because I'm trying to think what would sound like a foghorn. And cell call is pretty much the only thing on shortwave that, for me, would sound like a foghorn if you're tuning around. So I would guess that could be what you're hearing. DJ Follows us bought an inexpensive Tram 1089 antenna for my RSPDX. I don't know what that is the greatest, but I do get some signals with it. I've got a Tram 1411 here, and it works amazingly well. Amazingly well. And it's good for transmitting, too. K6RXD, John, Lunar Crater Radio Telescope, NASA project was referring to above. Shelly, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. You missed quite a lot of stuff, interesting stuff today, and a lot of talk of different things. But foghorn, that's what I would think. Plans cut. Take care, Frank. 73. Nice to have you here. So pretty cool to be here and to have all of you here as usual. Check the email, see if anybody's done anything there. Do we have any pirates also? And check out pirates. So we have, if we look at pirates, anything on 6925 upper sideband, apparently. Oh, I want to try something, by the way, guys. I think it's still on at this time. Not hearing anything. Because I think we have, let's check it out here, 6507. Ecaluate from 2235 to 2315 should technically be on right now. 6507 upper sideband. But I'm not hearing anything here right now. Can't say I'm hearing anything for that Ecaluate voice station. Still pretty surprising for those that missed Wednesday's show, where we actually talked to Sarah of the Canadian Coast Guard Center, where she said it was Brampton, Ontario, right? That was so cool on the last show on Wednesday. What else do we have? What else do we have? Alex, I listen on a Sokol 403 longwave radio, Soviet made. Wow, these are probably very rare. Alan, not sure who's on 7310. Isn't that 7310? Radio Romania? Yeah, that's Radio Romania. They're about to sign off now. Radio Romania 7310. Eric, I easily heard Bonaire 800 when I was in Florida in the late 70s. Hey, Gary in Dallas. Nice to have you on board. Been packing to move. So hope everything's going well. Hey, Matt. Nice to have you here again. Robert Cross got another radio restorer. So yeah, the more I think about what could sound like a foghorn, and I think that would match really well cell call, because that's pretty much what it sounds like especially when you're tuning in AM mode. Kind of sounds like it. So how's propagation? So yep, CHU still off the air on all its frequencies. Let's try no WWV on 25. WWV I'm getting on 20. So 20, 15, 10. We are getting that. Anything else right now of interest? CFRX 6070 coming in quite well. CFRX out of Toronto, Canada. Trying a few frequencies here to see what propagation looks like. Doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. So 6925, let's just check out 6925 for any pirates here. Not much happening here on 6925. That's the only thing on right now, 6925. So not hearing really nothing here. I don't know if you guys are hearing something of the pirates. OJ Jenkins, remember the page tones that they used on Emergency? Yep. No K6RXD, no Discord. We got a Facebook group, which is official SWL channel, where a lot of people are on, and where people are sharing a lot of stuff about radio. We got about 2,600 members, and it's a very, very well civilized group on Facebook, which has the same name as the channel here, and it's kind of so we're checking around here what's happening. So here we go. Not getting the signaling all of them so that they are being flagged. Here we go. Richard Wagner picking up 6925 in Northeast Illinois, weak. And so here it is. Lincoln Ramos. Playing Kurt Cobain in the Shortwave. Pretty cool to have. I find it nice, when there's nothing like really special going on. I find it kind of nice to have stations like WTWW play some music, and even WRMI. They've been filling a lot of their empty spots with all sorts of music. It's kind of fun sometimes. WTWW, you can still ask for some for your favorite songs. They take requests on their website, wtww.us. There was an interesting discussion last week. I was asked WWCR about donations that they get from some viewers. It's kind of interesting. It's complex, a couple of weeks back when they talked about one thing they tried to avoid controversy, but they were talking about, Alex Jones and Brother Stare that they have on their airwaves. And I gotta say, it was a very they were walking, it was a very touchy subject, and you could see it while they were, talking about it on that show. But, hey, Bob, take care. Stay safe. And thank you for the tip once again. It happens. So, hey, guys, we've been on for 3 hours. I am starting to get a little tired, and I am very hungry. I want to eat some food. Also, got a little bit of stuff to do. I got to edit the YouTube version of the International Radio Report. We've got to also we also have to listen to the radio. I also have to continue my messenger column for utilities. So we're yeah, I've never dabbled in radio astrology. Definitely. So anyways, thanks for everybody that gave me a tip with the super chat stuff. It's really appreciated, helps out. All proceeds and all the money goes into the radio bucket. So if there's new radios and things to try out, well, use that money to buy the radio, review it, talk about it more. So always nice to be here. And remember that next show is Wednesday, will be June 1st. It's just incredible that we'll already be close to half of the year 2022 done. Pretty crazy. Don't forget also, I mentioned it earlier, Wednesday, June 8th, I will not be here as I have a Kraftwerks 3D concert. And so hope that you guys will have a great weekend. See you next week. And hopefully this is going to be another great show once again. Don't expect that I will call a somebody on from the Canadian Coast Guard every week, but that I gotta say was a very, 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 very interesting moment last Wednesday. So take care, my friends. Stay safe. Love you all. See you soon. And we'll be back. Of course, we are here twice a week. Wednesday, North America time. That's Thursday for the rest of the world, 0 UTC. And Saturdays at 20 hours Universal time. Having fun with radio. Go to the Facebook group. I will be listening to the radio tonight. So if I hear anything interesting, I will be posting it in the Facebook group as I usually do. And take care, everybody. Stay safe. Hey, Larry, and to ICZ. Take care, my friend. Stay safe. See you soon on the channel.